18. Just a presentation. I was lucky to be asked to go on again another New Zealand mountain bike camp, and this time I was lucky enough to travel to Christchurch for this camp, which is really cool. So again, I'll just do a bit of a presentation and kind of talk about what we did over the camp, what we learned, and just some reflections for myself, which I took quite a lot away from. So yeah. So this is what the schedule looked like. So Saturday and the Sunday was the first round of the Continental Series, which was in Methven. So myself and the mountain bike coach travelled down Saturday morning, travelled down, was there for some support on the Saturday and the Sunday. And then on the Sunday after the race, we travelled back up to Christchurch, and then Monday morning was a bit of an introduction with everyone there, both the gravity, which is downhill, and the cross-country riders. We all came together, recovery session, and then an afternoon pedal and some line spotting. Again, the Tuesday morning we did some more line spotting and then trying to complete those as best we could. Gym session and a group barbecue at night. And then on the Wednesday, a recovery session in the morning, sports psychology, and then some planning for the season ahead. So that's just a bit of a schedule for what we did over those 5 days. So the first one, so the Continental Series. So this is a key race to earn points to race in the UCI World Cups. So you have to earn a certain amount of points and gain a certain amount of results to allow you to race. So this race was really key. There is another one in a couple of weeks' time in Christchurch as part of the Crankworks series. And then the other races are in Australia. So it's an Oceania segment of the Continental Series. They have just announced another race over the past couple of days. So it kind of has thrown a spanner in the works for some. But yeah, they'll try and do as many races as they can to try and earn the points to give them the opportunity to race. The kind of other aim was an opportunity to perform pre-race warm-ups, and this is such a key area. Essentially, the downhill riders have one chance to get the best possible time top to bottom, so all relies on that 3 to 4 minute run. So any kind of prep that we do can help. And the image to the right is just an example of what I think is a good option for them to do. But again, it was good to kind of chat with Cole and work out what he liked, what he didn't like, and how that helped him. Sort of key takeaways is be prepared for timings to change. So in the morning, on the Sunday morning, they do their seeding run, which gives them their time and when they'll actually do their proper timed run. But with the weather, which you'll see from some of the images in the next slide, there was a lot of crashes and everything got pushed back between 20 and 25 minutes and a bit of confusion. So it's just trying to keep the rider remain calm and make sure that we're altering the warm-up slightly, extending things or shortening things as we need to, and just trying to keep up good communication as best as possible. Being prepared on equipment, it was absolutely freezing, it was cold, extremely wet, extremely muddy, so I wasn't very prepared, and some of the riders were not very prepared either. And again, it's actually good for me. We're always in the gym most of the time at the Adams Academy, so it's good to get out there and actually be supporting at races and events. Get your feet on the grass, as I call it. So that was a really cool aspect to have. So just some images from the weekend. Really cool. Cole actually won the race. He won his category and was actually 4th overall with a real fast time from his seeding run to his actual timed run. I think he dropped like 4 or 5 seconds. So it was really, really cool. So just a few images. Here is the one. Turn the volume down. So this is just part of his warm-up. We had a trainer that was up there, which we used. So we just take the front wheel off, and at the back it's got a little bit of resistance, and then we just put the bike on just as normal. so we can see and get everything on that, which is really cool. Obviously it was pretty wet, so we had the van with the lid that just had a bit of a setup going up at the very top of the hill. This one here maybe gives you a bit of an idea of what the weather was like and how muddy and wet it was. That was on practice day, and yeah, it was just pretty miserable what that looked like. Hard conditions, kind of a bit unknown for a few of them as well. Again, just another example. This video here, different spot on the track, more of a fast high-speed section, but was actually really key to the race run because it was so muddy. They had to keep up as much pace as they possibly could. So it kind of highlighted for Cole that we need to do a bit more sprinting work. Obviously his result was good, but there's still reflections of things we need to work on. So yeah, in this where it became pedally, he definitely felt like he needed to work on that. Here it's just Cole in the start gate, just getting ready for his race run. Big hard pedal, trying to get up to speed as fast as he can, and then he's in from there. Ultimately, they want to try and get up to their highest possible speed as quickly as possible, and then try and maintain it from that point. So yeah, kind of some cool images of him from there. Getting some pace in the pedals, and then this was just us at the top. Again, you can see how wet it is. I'm under the umbrella, and it's just there trying to add in some of the warm up, just getting those fast movements going. Nothing too crazy, just a little bit resistant, just trying to warm up the muscles. Again, there's lots of pushing, pulling with the mountain biking. So just getting that upper body prepped. And again, we do lower body stuff. We've got some sprints that we involve in there as well. So yeah, that's there. Let's go through these slides again. Cool. So, camp day 1. So in the morning, again, introduction. The cross-country riders, they weren't at Methven for that weekend. Their race is actually this weekend in Christchurch. So we timed the camp to go in line with both squads being there and giving us the opportunity to have everyone together, half of the group having been at a race and half the group going into a race. And again, their races are pretty important. They have the Continental Series round 1 for them. So after that intro, we did a bit of we walked along to the pool session. Again, targeted session just to get the body moving and give them an option. Again, they travel around Europe for a lot of the time, and in most places they have swimming pools, and a lot of the time they're cheaper than going to gyms, and they're a bit more accessible. So we thought it'd be a good opportunity to, one, get a bit of recovery, get the body moving, and also provide them with an option and kind of a bit of a program that they could follow while traveling around Europe. And then we had a bit of free time, so we kind of had a bit of team stuff where we did some races and kind of played around with a few things just to build a bit of a good atmosphere. And then lunch, and then all the bike sessions were based at the Christchurch Adventure Park, which is pretty central to Christchurch. So for the downhill guys, we picked a track, and then we started looking at line spotting. So obviously we're trying to get that, for them, the ultimate goal is to get from top to bottom as quickly as possible. And there's a multitude of different ways when they get to certain sections of the track that they could go, which is going to be the fastest. So we looked at a certain section, and again, they were just looking at how they could get there and what the line options were, and having a few practice times to then see how they could get used to it and if they could remember their line. And then which we'll get on to the day 2, it was about the execution of that. Similar to what they would do at a World Cup, they'd have a practice day where they're going to try and spot all the different options and different lines. And then on race day, it's trying to execute those. Bit of a video here of just the about Coach Lewis speaking with them. And again, this section was quite cool for me to see. It was off camber, so they're obviously on a bit of a slope, and where the girls are here, it's quite a big what we would term as a bomb hole. So they're trying to maintain speed, but also that bomb hole is going to take a lot of force, so they're going to have to try and stay really steady on the bike So it's a really good opportunity for me to have a look and see, okay, this is certain things that we can do to build up their strength. They've got to hold the positions on the bike like so to try and maintain X amount of speed.
Push that speed.
So camp day 2, we went back up to the hill and we tried to execute those lines that they were looking at the day before. So their aim was to try and improve on what they did and actually execute it as if it was like a World Cup. So again, on a World Cup, like I said, there'd be practice day and then it's all about execution on that day. So they want to try and do as best they can. So after going away home for the night and coming back, it was again trying to remember it and then trying to get up to speed as best it possibly could. So from this video, again, it's a bit long video, should be able to see. And this rider coming through, the aim is for him to try and stay really high and hold that speed and set himself up for the next corner. And what's really cool and valuable for me is when we look at it, there's certain sections. So he's trying to stay really high here, so he's trying to stay balanced. And then when he gets to this section, just in here, he's trying to absorb that force, and this is what we call the bomb hold. So he's trying to stay strong on that bike and not go lean too far forward or lean too far back. And again, it can just easily highlight if someone needs to work on their upper body strength or the body strength, or just overall, just to help them maintain strong positions on the bike. So again, super valuable for me. So yeah, everyone executed pretty well. There's lots of videoing that goes on, so the riders can look back, reflect. Okay, that worked well. That did work well. Okay, I'm going to go do this. Now I'm going to try this the next time I go. When it gets to World Cups, it's pretty important, like iPhones and sending of clips and whatnot is the best way that a rider can learn and see what they're doing. And then it was lunch, and then in the afternoon, we went and did a gym session. Again, kind of two different with the two groups. It was different. So we had obviously one group that had just done a race, and then one group that was leading into a race. So for the gravity group, the downhill group, it was about a maintenance session. So again, an example of something that they could do during the season. So when they've got a week between races or a couple of weeks, just what they can do to try and maintain that strength and where they should be aiming at. And then for the cross-country group, because they had quite a big ride on that second day in the morning, we just did a mobility session for them in preparation for their weekend coming up. Cool. So camp day 3, the last day. So in the morning we did again another recovery session. So at the accommodation there was a sauna and a spa. So we split into 4 groups. We did a mobility section, and we used the sauna, the spa, and then we did some cold water immersion. We just filled up the bath with ice and obviously cold water, and we just did a 10-minute rotation around all of these. Nothing crazy, just utilizing what we had, and again giving them some options of things that they could do while traveling. And obviously they like some of them, don't like some of them. The cold is always the hard one to get used to. But again, for some of them, they'd never really looked at it. And again, we all know that recovery is personal to each other. So it gave them an opportunity to find out what works and what doesn't work for them, what they like. And then we had a psychology session after that. So this is with Jason McKenzie. He actually lives in Invercargill, works for Southland Stags, works at their version of the Adams Academy, I suppose you could call it that. And he also works at Bear Plenty Rugby, so he occasionally is up in the Adams Centre, which is really cool. Really good guy, good experience. He's worked for HBS and Z. He's been to Commonwealth Games, and he understands mountain bikers and kind of what. So it's an extreme sport, I suppose. So he understands the mindset. And the focus of the session was just about having goals and how you reflect on those. And actually just being positive around things and learning it's not going to happen straight away, but you've got to have these experiences. You've got to practice to actually gain that experience and gain that exposure to allow you to learn and then grow. And he's super relatable. The sessions are really engaging. He does like fun little games to kind of get the brain going. And he puts people not in uncomfortable positions, but gets them to actually speak and actually be the one to lead sessions and not be afraid to speak out. There's nothing bad that comes from saying your name and how you felt from the weekend. So he's really good in that way. So I took a lot from that. And again, it talks about the brain body connection. So what our thoughts are, what our feelings are, and then what our actions are. And they all lead from one to the next. And again, I think that resonated with a lot of the riders sitting there. You could see some heads nodding around. Okay, these are my thoughts, and this is how I'm feeling, but this is then how this is going to lead to my action and how I behave at that point. So, if you ever see him around the building, definitely worth having a coffee with him. Super approachable and just a really simple, nice way of talking about mental skills, what you need from that point. Again, it's helped me a lot as well. Cool. And then just an overall reflection. So just kind of reflecting on the 5 days being away. So I just kind of broke into 2 areas around the race support. So it was good to support the racing with the warm up and just other elements. Again, we had fan there, so we were able to, when it was pretty cold and wet, it gave the riders the opportunity for some support and keep them warm and dry before their race run. And just to get an insight to how they all work. It was really cool to see how Cole changes and what his mindset is going into a race and what his process is, which is really cool. And he definitely has now refined that. And he has his system, or however you want to call it, leading into a race of what he wants to do, what he's thinking about, how he wants to warm up. So it's really cool to be a part of that. And obviously he won the race, not obviously due to that, but just cool to kind of be there and have that support for him. The line spotting, again, it's always good for me just to see. I mean, I ride a mountain bike as well, that's my sport, but I can't keep up with these guys. The speeds that they go at are crazy. So again, just to kind of see from trackside, okay, this is where they're going, this is what strength they need to hold their positions on the bike so they can maintain these high speeds. Okay, this is identifying weaknesses and their hamstring, calf, or on the body, whatever that looks like. So that's really cool. And then the session with Jason, again, having that goal and how is that measured? Could be just a simple 1 to 10. That's how he liked to do it. Just, did I achieve it? Did I not achieve it? What does that look like from a 1 to 10? And then just telling the athlete what the goal is, which I always have the goal. We always have the goals of what our sessions are in terms of going into a gym session block or a running session or a watt bike session, wherever that is. We know what it is, but personally, I'm probably pretty bad at telling them that. So if you look at some of my athletes on Team Builder, I've now purposely started to put what the weekly goal is or what that program goal is. Just, it keeps me right, making sure, okay, that we are striving towards that intended goal. But also for the athlete, they can now see, okay, this is the goal of what I'm trying to do this week. This is the goal. I can see that, okay, did we achieve it? Did we achieve what we're intending to do? So it's been kind of nice to my personal note as well. Okay, this is what we want to aim for. This is what our session or week or month goal is for that athlete. So yeah, just an overall reflection. Hopefully there's not too much background noise. I'm sitting at the airport because my other flight was cancelled due to the crazy weather we've been having. But yeah, happy to sit down and go through more of this if anyone wants to. And like I said, if you happen to see Jason around the building, definitely grab him for a coffee. Definitely a worthwhile conversation to have with him. Awesome. Cheers, guys.